Okay, good evening, everybody. So we haven't really done one of these before, which is a live stream of an open rehearsal on Zoom. So please bear with us. The details are in the program that was sent with you. This is the pre-recorded version with closed captions embedded. If you want to watch the live version, then please hurry on over to the other link that was sent in the program. So we've tried adapting the rules of the game for Zoom, and it's still quite early in the process, so you never know and what you might expect. As it stands at the moment, you can see me, and one of our actors has just joined us and is rising to the occasion. Good evening.
Evening. Is anyone else here yet?
No, not yet. I have received a text message from the director. She's got a few edits to the script she wants to do to the end of the play. She wants to get the audience feedback on them. She'll be with us as soon as she can. Can you shut that dog in another room if it's going to cause a distraction?
No, Pam is an assistant's dog.
Evening all. Is she going to assist you in learning your lines?
Well, I wasn't the one needing the prompt in the last rehearsal, was I?
Oh, darling, can you get the door? I'm expecting an Amazon delivery. Darling, I'm in a rehearsal. Darling, can you get the door? Sorry, I'm going to have to get this.
Wait. Oh, you can't just walk away. The director will be here any minute and we'll want everyone ready to start.
He's waiting for some bit of his bike, apparently.
She's going to go mental.
Great. I can fix this on later.
What's that then? A new personality?
Can you please both be just ready to start?
Sorry.
Have you got all your props?
My second delivery's arrived. Sorry, darling, can you get that? Darling, I said I'm in a rehearsal. God, do I have to do everything myself?
Dear God, actors. Right, can you please just ignore any further interruptions?
Good evening, everyone out there in YouTube land. I shall be directing tonight's rehearsal of The Rules of the Game. It is lovely to see you. Well, obviously I can't see you, but you know what I mean. It's all very exciting. Please, would you look kindly on us and remember that we're doing the best that we can under the current circumstances.
Sorry about that. I was expecting another delivery and the wife wasn't answering the door.
Right then, thank you. Let's get started. Anybody missing?
No, leading lady.
Not again. We're 10 minutes late already. Send her a message, ask her what the problem is. 'Twas ever thus.
Sorry I'm late. There's a problem with the avocado delivery. I really don't think pesto is any substitute for aioli, honestly.
Yes, well, it's not just me you're inconveniencing this time. It's an open rehearsal.
Oh, God, sorry. I forgot. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You haven't even started yet. I'm not even on at the beginning anyway.
Right then, from the top of the second act, the rules of the game. Is everybody ready? Are you in this scene?
No, I just told you.
Right, well, go off video for God's sake and go on mute. We don't want to hear you slurping away.
Oh,
I'm so sorry about this, everyone. Come on then, let's get going.
Right, the House of Leone Gala, a peculiar room.
Have you found any images to use as a virtual background?
Yes, I just need to Photoshop some details in. Look, do you want me to read all of the stage descriptions?
Yes, because they don't know what they are.
Right. Leone Gala is in a cook's hat and apron, beating an egg in a dish with a little wooden spoon. Filippo is breaking another and is also dressed as a cook.
Right, now look, I've got the bowl and the wooden spoon, but I'm not going to do any whisking today because apparently I can't be trusted with any raw eggs. And my wife's going to be making some scones later. Look, she's also made this hat. But what do you reckon? I think it looks a bit crap to me.
It does. Yeah. Oh, but that reminds me. Did you manage to order my hat off Amazon?
Yeah, but it's going to be a little delayed. It's coming from China.
Why wasn't my hat ordered from Amazon then?
Look, we're on a very strict budget, and you said your wife could make you a hat, and you look fine.
Do I really have to wear this?
Yes, because that's what it says in the script.
Well, don't you think it makes me look a trifle ridiculous? I mean, I can't even get it in shot.
Well, of course it looks ridiculous. But what do you expect when nobody writes any decent plays anymore? And we're reduced to putting on plays by Pirandello from 100 years ago. Well, the committee's recommended it, so we're doing it. Mind you, if you can understand it, you must be very clever. He did it on purpose, you know. He wrote plays that nobody enjoys, not the audience, not the actors, and not the critics. Pirandello wrote specific stage instructions to wear a cook's hat and break eggs. But that's not all you'll be doing. Oh, no, no, no. It's all semiotics. You are symbolic of the shells of the eggs that you're beating.
I told you were cracked in the head.
Break an egg. Go on, break an egg.
Well, this might get a bit messy. Oh, God. Oh, this is ridiculous. And this is a crap hat.
I thought we were told to break a leg, usually.
Be quiet and listen. You see, you are symbolic of the shells, which are the empty form of reason, without content, blind instinct.
The empty form of reason is right.
You are reason, and your wife here is instinct. You're in a game where you've been given parts where you're not just playing yourself, but the puppet of yourself. Do you see?
No, I just try and remember the lines and not trip over the furniture.
You don't always manage that.
Wait till you see the little funny business I've put in at the end. You've never seen anything like it. I am really, really pleased with it. By the way, please make sure the audience can hear you properly. Lips, teeth, tip of the tongue. We don't want you mumbling away. This dialogue is difficult enough without that. Oh, perhaps we should do a little bit of vocal warm-up. No. Oh, all right then. Come on then, let's get started.
Excuse me, there are some people in the breakout room who want to talk to you.
Well, tell them we're busy. I mean, we're trying to rehearse here. I said no latecomers. How did they get there anyway? Who gave them the link?
Okay, boss.
Who the hell are you? What do you want here?
I can't seem to get them out.
We're looking for an author.
An author? Which author?
Let me see if I can put them back in the breakout room.
Any author will do, madam.
Well, there isn't an author here. This isn't a new play. It's a very old play. The rules of the game, well, it's a very old play. Pirandello died over 80 years ago.
That's better still. We can be your new play.
Maybe, but if there isn't an author, unless you'd like to.
They don't seem to have usernames in the system. When I select them in the participants list, the options just move under my mouse. Can't select anything. Let me Google this and see if I can work it out.
Is this some kind of a joke?
How can you say that? This is a story of tragedy, of anguish.
We might make your fortune for you.
Look, stop pissing about. I don't know who you are, but I haven't got time for idiots. We are trying to rehearse a play here.
You must know very well, working in theatre, that life is full of all sorts of odd things, infinite absurdities that have no need to pretend to be real because they are actually true.
Infinite absurdity.
What
Oh,
I'm
well.
saying,
Well, Donald Trump proved that point, didn't he?
I'm saying that you must be mad to do things the opposite way around, to create situations which obviously aren't true and try to make them seem to be really happening. But then I suppose that sort of madness is the only reason for your profession.
So we're a bunch of loonies, are we?
Oh, well, you can speak for yourself.
Well, if you try to make things look true, which obviously aren't, especially if you're not forced to do it, but do it only for a game. But then I suppose your job is to give life on stage to imaginary creatures, isn't it?
Oh, I'll have you know that the actor's profession is one of great distinction and one of the oldest professions in the world.
I know an older profession.
Even if nowadays too many plays are so dull and the characters are so predictable, they might as well be puppets, I'll have you know that we have given life to immortal works. I won prizes for this. Pyramus and Thisbe. The critics loved it.
There, you said it. You have given life. We're both saying the same thing.
Oh, just a moment before you said...
I'm sorry, no, I described acting as a game because you shouted at us and called us idiots. But you must know better than anyone that nature uses the human imagination to lift her work of creation to even higher levels.
But where does that get us?
Nowhere. I just want to show you that we can be born into life in many ways. As a tree, a butterfly, a woman, or a character in a play.
And you were born into life as a character in a play.
Exactly, and alive, as you can see. Well, I'm sorry that you find it amusing, because as I've said before, we have a story of terrible anguish in us, as you can see from these women dressed in black. They are dressed in mourning.
Callum, get these weirdos out of here and don't let anybody else into the Zoom meeting.
I'm trying, but there is nothing on Google or the Zoom help pages.
Please, please, you see...
Look, we really can't be messed around like this.
I know, this is ridiculous. Look, I'm going to go off video and go through my lines. Can you give me a shout when we're ready to start, yeah?
Let's have a cup of tea and open one of my parcels.
I'm astonished. Why do you find it so hard to believe? Is it because you're not used to seeing characters created in the mind of an author spring into life on stage, face to face with each other? Is it because we're not in a script?
Believe me, madam, we really are 6 of the most fascinating characters, but we've been neglected.
That's right, we've been neglected. In the sense that the author who created us living in his mind wouldn't or couldn't make us live in a written play. And that really is a crime, madam, because whoever has the good fortune to be born a character can laugh even at death, because a character will never die. The writer, the instrument of his creation, will die, but what he has created will live forever. Who was Sancho Panza? Who was Prospero? Who was Beatrice or Maria Martin? But as living seeds, they had the good fortune to find fruitful soil, an imagination that knew how to nurture them so that it would live forever.
But what do you want here? What do you want from me?
We want to live, madam.
Forever.
No, only for a few moments in you.
You want to live in me. Awkward.
Look, the play is all ready to be put together, and if you and your actors would like to, we can work it out now between us.
But what exactly do you want us to do? We don't make up plays like that at WBDS, no. We put on nice little period dramas and thrillers and, drama, little period things.
Yes, that's why we've come.
But where's the script?
It's in us. We are the play, and we're impatient. No, desperate to show it to you. It's our passion to present it that has driven us here.
My passion. If only you knew my passion for him.
Keep out of this for the moment.
Perhaps you'd rather I sing, even though it's only 2 months since I became an orphan. Just listen to how I can sing. Daddy wouldn't buy me a bow wow, bow wow. Daddy wouldn't buy me a bow wow, bow wow. I've got a little cat and I'm very fond of that, but I'd rather have a bow wow.
Is she mad? Does she think this is a nightclub?
No, she's not mad. It's much worse than that.
Yes, it's worse, much worse. Listen, please, madam, let us put this play on at once, because you'll see that at a particular point when this little darling girl here, isn't she pretty with her ringlets, darling girl? Well, this lovely girl here, when God takes her from this poor mother, and this little idiot here does the most stupid thing like the half-wit he is, then you'll see me run away. But not yet, because after all the intimate things that have been between him and me, well, I can't stay with them any longer. To watch that supercilious cretin over there insult his mother. Yes, you. Look at him, condescending and standoffish because he's the legitimate son, full of contempt for me and for the little boy and the dear little girl, because we are bastards. You understand, bastards. And this poor mother, she who is the mother of us all, he refuses to recognize her as his own mother. He looks down on her as if she were only the mother of the three of us who are another man's offspring.
Madam, for the sake of these two little children, I beg you to.
Are you all right?
Oh, for God's sake, stop it. Oh, please, I beg you, madam, don't let him do what he's trying to do. It's hateful.
I don't understand. Is this woman your wife?
Yes, she's my wife.
Then how can she be a widow when you're still alive, eh?
Well, that's the point, you see. That's her drama. You see, she had another man who ought to be here.
No, stop.
He died 2 months ago, as I told you. That's why we're in mourning for him, as you can see.
Yes, he's dead. But that's not the reason he isn't here. He's not here because, well, just look at her, and you'll see for yourself at once. Hers is not the passionate drama of the love of two men, because she's incapable of love, of that sort of love. The most she can feel is perhaps a little gratitude, but not to me, to him. She's not a woman, she's a mother. And her drama, and believe me, it's a powerful one, her drama is focused completely on the 4 children of the 2 men she had.
I had them. How dare you say I had 2 men? It was him, madam. He made me do it. He forced the other man on me. He made me go away with him.
That isn't true.
How isn't it true?
It isn't true. It just isn't true.
What do you know about it?
It isn't true. Don't believe her. Do you know why she said that? She said it because of him, her firstborn son. She tortures herself. She exhausts herself with worry. And all because of the indifference of that son of hers. She wants to make him believe that she was made to abandon him when he was only 2 years old by his father.
He did. He made me. As God is our witness. Ask him if it isn't true. Make him tell our son it's true. You don't know anything about it.
I know that when my father was alive, you were always happy and contented. Can't deny that.
No, I can't deny that.
He was always full of love and care. A little boy. Is that not true? Admit it. Why didn't you say something, you little idiot?
Oh, leave your brother alone. You are my daughter. I don't in the least want to offend your father's memory, but it wasn't my fault, or even to please myself, that I left that house and left my son.
That's quite true. It was my fault.
Well, now I'm interested. What an idea for a show.
And we are the audience.
For a change.
Quiet. Listen to them. Quiet.
Yes. Listen to his little scrap of philosophy. He's going to tell you all about the demon of experiment.
You're a cynical idiot, as I've told you 100 times. He sneers at me because of this expression that I found to explain, to defend myself.
Words, words.
Yes, words. Words. When we're faced with something we don't understand, a sense of evil that seems as if it's going to swallow us, don't we all find comfort in a word that tells us nothing, but that calms us?
And dulls your sense of remorse too. That more than anything, surely.
Remorse? No, that's not true. It will take more than words to dull the profound sense of remorse in me.
It's taken a little money too, hasn't it? Just a little money. The money that he was going to offer as payment.
That's a filthy trick.
A filthy trick. There it was in a pale blue envelope on the little mahogany table in the room behind the shop at Madame Patch's. You know Madame Patchy, don't you? One of those madams who sells ladies' clothing so that they can attract poor girls like me from decent families who've fallen on hard times into their workroom.
And she's bought the right to tyrannize the whole lot of us with that money, with what he was going to pay her. But luckily, now listen carefully, luckily, he had no reason to pay it to her.
But it was close.
Shame on you, daughter. Shame.
Shame? No, not shame, Mamma. Revenge. I'm desperate to live that scene. The room with the showcase of coats, the divan, there the mirror and the screen, and in front of the window that little mahogany table with the pale blue envelope with the money in it. I can see it quite clearly. I could pick it up. But you should avert your gaze because I'm nearly naked. Not blushing any longer. I leave that to him. But I tell you, he was pale. Very pale then.
I don't understand anymore.
Then let me have my say before you believe any more of these horrible slanders and lies she's so viciously telling about me.
We don't want to hear any of your long-winded fairy stories.
I'm not going to tell fairy stories. I want to explain to the director.
I'm sure you do. Oh yes, in your own special way with your own special words.
Well, isn't that the cause of all the problem? Words. Each of us has a private world inside. How can we understand each other if the words that I use have the sense and value that I expect them to have? But whoever listens to me inevitably thinks that those same words have a different sense and value because they have their own different private world inside. We think we understand each other, but we never do. Look at this example. All my pity, all my compassion for this woman who is a mother, she takes us ferocious cruelty.
He turned me out of the house.
Oh, I turned her out. Do you hear? She really believes I turned her out.
You know how to talk with clever words. I don't. But believe me, madam, he married me and then sent me away. I can't think why. I was just a poor, simple woman.
But that was the reason. I married you for your simplicity. That was what I loved in you, believing that it...
No.
No, do you hear? She said no. She says no. It's terrifying, madam. Her deafness, her mental deafness. Affection for her children, oh yes. But death, mentally death, madam. Death to the point of desperation.
Yes, but make him tell you what good all his cleverness has brought us.
If only we could see in advance all the harm that can come from the good that we think we're doing.
I'm sorry, but are we actually going to get on with this rehearsal or not?
Yes, but I want to listen to this first.
I think this young lady's got something interesting to say.
You would.
Look, could you explain yourselves more clearly?
All right. You see, there was this rather poor fellow who was working for me as an assistant and secretary. He was very loyal. He understood this poor creature in everything, but without a hint of deceit, you must believe me, for he was good and simple. Neither of them was capable of thinking anything wrong, let alone doing it.
So instead, you did all the wrong thinking for them, and the wrong doing too.
That is not true. What I did was for their own good. And mine too, I admit it. There came a time where I couldn't say a word to either of them without a sympathetic look being exchanged, catching each other's eye for advice on how to respond to what I said so as not to make me angry. Well, that was enough, I'm sure you understand, to put me in a foul mood most of the time and a state of intolerable exasperation.
Well, why didn't you just sack the secretary?
Well, in the end, I did sack him. But then I had to watch this poor woman wandering around the empty rooms, forlorn like some stray animal you take in out of pity.
And what about the grumpy son?
Tore this son from me.
What?
But not out of cruelty. No, it was so he could grow up strong and healthy, in touch with the earth.
And look at the result.
It's my fault he grew up like this. I sent him away to be raised by a nurse in the country because his mother was not strong enough, although she came from a humble family herself. In fact, it was her simplicity, her uncomplicated view of life that made me marry her, because I've always had a deep, dreadful longing for moral healthiness.
Oh, please.
Stop interrupting. Please continue.
Well, eventually I couldn't bear the sight of this woman near me, not so much because of the annoyance she caused me, or the feelings of suffocation, but no, for the painful sorrow and pity that I felt for her.
So he turned me out.
With everything you needed, I set you free to go to the secretary.
And to set yourself free.
All right, I admit it. But what terrible things came of it. But I did it for the best of intentions, I assure you, and more for her than me, I swear it. I never lost sight of you, did I? Until that secretary fellow, without my knowing, took you far away to another town. He was always idiotically suspicious of my interest, which was a genuine interest in her well-being, I assure you, without any ulterior motive at all. I used to watch her little family growing up around her with tenderness, did I not?
She was a pretty little girl, you know. Plaits down my back and my frilly knickers showing under my frock. So pretty. He used to watch me coming out of school. He came to see how I was growing up.
That's shameful, monstrous. After they'd gone away, the house seemed so empty. She'd been like a dead weight on my spirit, but her presence had filled the house. I wandered the empty rooms like a lost soul. Whenever my son came home to visit, he didn't seem like my son anymore. We needed the to link us together. My son grew up by himself, apart with no connection to me, either through love or intellect.
I can understand that.
Must seem odd, but I became curious about and then strongly attracted to this little family that had been created because of what I'd done. And thoughts of them began to fill all the emptiness I felt inside. I really needed to believe that she was happy, wrapped up in the simple cares of life, luckier to escape the complicated torments of a soul like mine. And to prove it, I used to watch their little child coming out of school.
Listen to him. He used to follow me along the street. He used to smile at me, and when we got near the house, he used to wave like this. I watched him, wide-eyed, puzzled because I didn't know who he was. I told my mother about him, and she knew at once who he must be. So she stopped me from going to school. But then I saw him standing near the railings at the door, looking ridiculous with a brown paper bag in his hands. He came up to me and petted me, and then he opened the bag and took out a colourful straw hat with a hoop of rosebuds round it. It was beautiful. It was for me.
Never mind about the hat. Seems a bit off the point, really.
Yes, you wanted a clear narrative.
A narrative? What are you talking about? This is real life, real passions.
Oh, that may be, but you can't just put it on the stage like that.
Oh, I agree, because this is only leading up to the main action. I'm not suggesting we put this part on stage. At any rate, you can see she's no longer a pretty little girl with plaits down her back.
And frilly knickers showing under her frock.
No, the drama begins now.
As soon as my father had died.
They were so miserable when they came back to this town. But I didn't know about their situation because of their mother's stubbornness. She can barely read or write, but she could have got her daughter to write, or her son, to tell me they needed help.
But, madam, how could I have known how he felt?
Well,
After all the years apart and after all that had happened.
Hasn't that always been your problem? You've never known anything about how I felt. Was it my fault that fellow took you so far away from here? Overnight, I tell you, he took a job away from here without my knowing anything about it. I couldn't possibly trace them. And so naturally, over the years, my interest in them grew less. Drama broke out unexpectedly and violently when they came back. And when I was driven by the needs of my flesh, driven in misery, by the needs of my flesh, which was still alive with desire. And it is misery, you know, unspeakable misery for a man who lives on his own and who detests sordid casual affairs, who is not old enough to give up on women, to do without them, but not young enough to go and look for one without shame. It is misery. It's horrible and it's revolting, because there is not a woman who will give her love to me. And when I realized that, I should have done without. But that's easy to say. Each of us face to face with someone else who's clothed with a sort of dignity. But we know only too well the unspeakable things that go on in the heart. We surrender. We give in to temptation. But very quickly, we rise up soon out of it again, trying to rebuild our dignity, whole and firm as if it were a gravestone, to hide every sign and memory of our shame, hide it even from our own eyes. Everyone's like that. Only some of us don't have the courage to talk about it.
But they've all got the courage to do it.
Yes, but only in secret. That's why it takes more courage to talk about it. Because what if a man talks about it? What happens then? Everyone says he's a pervert. But it's not true. It's simply not true. He's like everyone else, perhaps only better, because he's not afraid to use his intelligence to point out the blushing shame of human bestiality, trying to pretend it doesn't exist. And what about woman? What's she like? She looks at you invitingly, teasingly. You take her in your arms, and when she feels your arms around her, she closes her eyes, trying to pretend it doesn't exist.
And when she doesn't close her eyes anymore, what then? When she doesn't feel the need to hide from herself anymore, to shut her eyes and hide her own shame, when she can see instead, dispassionately and dry-eyed, this blushing shame of a man who's blinded himself, who's without love, what then? Oh, then what disgust, what utter repugnance she feels for all these intellectual complications, for all this philosophy that points to the bestiality of man, philosophies that he then uses to try to defend himself, to justify himself even. I can't listen to him, because when a man says he needs to simplify life like this, reducing it to bestiality, and throws away every human scrap of innocent desire, genuine feeling, modesty or shame, then there's nothing more contemptible and nauseating than his remorse, crocodile tears.
This is all well and good, but please just get to the point.
All right, but a fact is like a sack. It won't stand up if it's empty. To make it stand up, first you have to put in all the feelings and reasons that caused it in the first place. I couldn't possibly have known that when that fellow died, that they'd come back here, that they'd be so desperately poor, that the mother would go out and get work as a dressmaker, or that she'd work for Madame Pache of all people.
She's a very high-class dressmaker, you must understand that. She apparently has only high-class customers, but she has arranged things carefully so that these high-class customers in fact serve her. They give her a respectable front, without spoiling things for the other ladies at the shop, who are not quite so respectable at all.
Oh, believe me, madam, the idea never entered my head that that vile creature gave me work because she had an eye on my daughter.
Oh, Mamma. Do you know what that woman would do when I took back the work that my mother had been doing? She would point out how the dress had been ruined by my mother's sewing. She grumbled and moaned and then bargained. So you see, I paid for it, while this poor woman here thought she was sacrificing herself for me and these two children, sewing dresses all night for Madame Pache.
And there, one day, you met.
Yes, him. Oh, he was an old customer of hers. What a scene that's going to be. Superb.
Yes, with her, the mother, arriving.
Almost in time.
No, just in time, because luckily I found out just in time and took them all back to my house. Can you imagine the situation now? The two of us living in the same house, her, just as you see her now, and I, unable to look her in the face.
It's so absurd. Do you think it's possible for me, madam, after what happened at Madame Pache's, to pretend that I'm a modest young lady, well brought up and virtuous, just so that I can fit in with his damned pretensions to a sound moral healthiness?
For me, this is the real drama. This belief that we think ourselves to be one single person, but it's not true. It's simply not true. Each of us is several different people, and all of these different people live inside us. With one person, we seem like this. With another person, we seem very different. But we have the illusion of being the same person to everyone, and the same person in everything we do, but it's not true. We realize this very clearly when by some terrible chance, we're suddenly stopped in the middle of doing something and left dangling there, suspended. We realize that not every part of us was involved in what we'd been doing, and that it would be a dreadful injustice for other people to judge us by this one single act as we're left dangling there, hanging in chains, fixed for all eternity, as if the whole of one's personality could be summed up in one single interrupted action. Now do you understand this girl's treachery? She accidentally found me somewhere I shouldn't have been, doing something I shouldn't have been doing. She discovered a part of me that should not have existed for her. And now she's trying to fix on me a reality that I should never have had to assume for her. It came from one brief and shameful moment of my life. And that's what hurts most of all. And I think this play would make a tremendous impact from this idea of mine. But then there's the position of the others to consider, the sons.
You leave me out of it. I don't come into this.
Why don't you come into it?
I don't come into it, and I don't want to come into it. You know perfectly well that I was never intended to be mixed up with you lot.
We're vulgar, common people, you see. He's a fine gentleman. But you've probably noticed that every now and then I look at him contemptuously, and when I do, he lowers his eyes. He knows what harm he's done to me.
What have I done?
It's your fault that I went on the streets. Yes, it is. Because of your superior attitude when we came back to the house. You never made us feel welcome or comfortable. You behaved as if we were intruders who were invading on the country of your legitimacy. Madam, I would have liked you to have seen some of the little scenes that we had together. He says I tyrannized over everyone, but don't you see? It was because of the way his son treated us. He called it vile that I should insist on our right to move into his house with our mother. And she's his mother too. I went into that house as its mistress.
Oh, Madam Director, you're really enjoying this, aren't you? It's easy when they all gang up against me. But let me tell you how it happened. One fine day, there is a son sitting quietly at home. This bold young strumpet rings the doorbell, bold as brass, and cheekily asks for his father. What possible business could she have with him? he sees her come back with the same brazen look, accompanied by that little girl over there. And he sees her treat his father without knowing why, in a most ambiguous and insolent way, asking for money in a tone that implies he is obliged to do so.
But I was obliged. I owed it to your mother.
How was I to know? I've never seen her before or heard mention of my mother. Then one day, I see her traipsing in after this piece of work, holding the hand of a whining little girl and tearful little boy. They say, "Oh, didn't you know? This is your mother too." And little by little, mainly because of her attitude, I began to understand why they came to live in this house. I cannot and will not say what I feel or what I think. I would not even like to confess it to myself. I cannot, will not take any active part in this. I am a character, madam, who is not fully developed dramatically, and I feel most uncomfortable in their company. So please, leave me out of this.
What? No, it's precisely because you feel like that.
How do you know how I feel? When have you ever bothered yourself about me?
All right, I admit it. But isn't that a situation in itself? This withdrawing of yourself is cruel to me and your mother. When she first came back home and saw you again, almost for the first time, she didn't recognize you, but she instinctively knew that you were her son. Look at her there, weeping.
Like the fool she is.
Oh, it's obvious this young woman can't stand her stepbrother. He says he doesn't come into it, but really he's the crux of the problem. Look at this little boy clinging to his mother. Perhaps his problem is worst of all. He's frightened and humiliated by my son. He feels an outcast more keenly than the others. He feels mortified just being in the house because it's charity. He's like his father, timid, doesn't say anything.
Not a good idea to put him on the stage. Never work with children and animals. Noisy, messy things.
He won't need to be on stage very long, nor will the little girl, for she's first to go.
Good. I can tell you, this interests me. It interests me very much. I think we've got the material for a strong, good play here.
With a character like me, you have.
You stay out of it.
It's different, yes. It's full of gritty realism. You've got a nerve, though, haven't you? Coming here and throwing it at me like this.
I'm sure you understand, born as we are for the stage.
Are you professional actors?
No, I say we're born for the stage.
Oh, come on. I can tell. You've done this before. You're an old hand at this, at acting.
No, I'm not. I act, as everyone does, the part in life I've chosen for myself, or that others have chosen for me. And as you can see, sometimes my own passion gets a bit out of hand, a bit theatrical, as it does with everyone.
Well, maybe, but you do see that without an author, I could give you the address of someone.
No, you do it.
Me? What are you talking about?
Yes, why not?
Because I'm the director. I interpret other people's words. I've never written anything.
Well, why not start now, if you don't mind my suggesting? There's nothing to it. Everybody's doing it. And your job is easier because you have us here, all of us, alive in front of you.
It's not enough.
Why isn't it enough? You've seen us live our drama.
Perhaps so, but we'd still need someone to write it.
Only write it down, perhaps, as it happens, in front of them, live, scene by scene. It'll be enough to sketch it out simply at first, and then run through, putting in the details.
Do you know, I'm almost tempted, just for the fun of it. I mean, it might work.
Of course it will. You'll see that such incredible scenes result. I can tell you what they're going to be.
Do you know what? We'll give it a go. Come with me to the breakout room. Something extraordinary might come out of this.
Of course it will. Don't you think it would be better if the rest of the family came too?
Yes, come on, everyone. Let's take a break while I sketch out some ideas. Callum, we'll need you too. Now, everybody, remember, don't be late. Back in, quarter of an hour.
Serious? What's she going to do?
think she's gone round the bend.
I mean, does she expect to make up a play in 5 minutes?
She thinks I'm going to appear in that sort of nonsense.
Me neither.
I'd like to know who they really are.
Well, who do we think they are? Is it some sort of scam?
And is she taking them seriously?
It's vanity. It's vanity of seeing herself as the author.
True, but it's also the money, because now she'll get paid twice. Once as the author, and then again as the director.
Well, I've never heard of such a thing. If the theatre, ladies, is reduced to this, then what hope is there?
Well, you never know. It might be fun.
Oh, really? Well, we shall have to see what happens next, I suppose.
Okay, everyone seems to have buggered off, so maybe you'd like to go and get a cup of tea or something stronger. Let the dog out, post a comment on Facebook, send us a tweet, Instagram, I don't know. Can you just make sure that you're back in about 20 minutes and who knows what will happen? In the meantime, what I'll do is I'll just pop on some videos of past performances and you can see what other WBDS members have been getting up to. So we're always looking out for new members. Thanks very much. We'll see you in about 20 minutes.
The role of the sound designer is to manage, to create, to find wherever you can all the sounds necessary for the performance. So most of the sounds we have available on effectively stock sounds, if you think of maybe a doorbell or a car door closing or things like that. But sometimes you need to create new sounds that simply aren't available as standard sounds, if you like. So if you think about something like a dockside scene at a port, you would have the thud of the ship's engines or the ship's funnels making the noise. You would have the splash and rattle of the chain as the anchor drops. You would have the squeal and whine of the cranes as they unload goods from the ship, or maybe as they load the passengers' goods onto the ship. You would have the sound of lorries driving past loaded with goods or whatever. You would have the sound of the water splashing against the quayside. You'd have seagulls squawking, and all these sounds will be loaded individually into the computer so that we can then vary the sounds as the ship gets closer. The engine sounds louder. As a ship sails away, you might hear its siren in the distance. As something happens, the seagulls might scream more loudly. And it's the job of the sound design team to create all the sounds, to bring them all together, and then to work with the director and the cast to play the sounds to create a convincing soundscape for the audience. Thinking back, I've been a member of WBDS for about 20 years now. To begin with, I was mostly involved with set building and scenery painting and things like that. The job I had at that time involved a lot of travel, both in the UK and abroad. So it meant that I really couldn't make a commitment to be here in Nottingham for rehearsals. So I could never really become an actor, as it were. But doing sound design, particularly once it moved to be internet-based, meant that I could take a play script with me wherever I was going to. And in the evening at the hotel, I could go through the script. I could work on my laptop to create the sound plots, writing down the pages, the cue times, and everything else. And as more and more sounds became available on internet libraries, then I could actually begin downloading all the sounds necessary, or sometimes creating the sounds necessary for the sound plot for a particular production, without ever having to be in the theatre. So for me, it was a very convenient way to be involved in the whole production process, but not having to actually go to the theatre itself. So overall, I've worked on numerous productions down the years, and I've found it a very rewarding way to be involved in the society. I don't really have a favourite sound plot. I like the ones that go well in performance, of course, and sometimes if I'm an audience member, or if I'm operating the sound cues from the back of the auditorium, sometimes I feel a bit disappointed that the sounds aren't as convincing as I hoped they would be, but I suppose that's life. Thinking of the sound plots that I've worked on, perhaps the most memorable production that I worked on would have been the 39 Steps, a very entertaining comedy, which had numerous sound cues during the production. So many, in fact, that we had to buy an upgraded version of the software, because the standard sound software that we'd used previously simply could not cope with the number of cues throughout that production. The most memorable part of it for me, I think, would have been the sound of the aircraft flying. It was actually a tiger moth flying low and fast over the heads of the actors as the plane came round to machine gun the people on the moor. You could hear the sound of the machine gun, the plane screaming in a dive, and eventually there is the sound of the plane crashing into the hillside and exploding in a ball of flame. Most entertaining.
Well, if you're a stage manager, you're basically in charge of the running of the show during production week, and also during dress rehearsals. Your role starts already during rehearsal, where you start attending rehearsals to get an idea of the show, and depending how tech heavy a show is, so if there's lots of things that need cueing, if there are lots of props that are needed throughout the play that you need to hand to people, or that you need to remind people to take on, then it's probably a good idea to go to a few more rehearsals. If it's quite an easy tech show where it's literally just people go on, do their thing, people come off for the interval, that's it, then you only need to attend a few rehearsals. You then, as a stage manager, you then basically run tech rehearsal together with the director to make sure that all the tech side works, all the sound cues are there, all the lighting cues are there, people coming on and off if they need cueing on and off. So that's all set, so that you really know what you're doing. And then the dress rehearsals are then run as the show itself, with the same timings, hopefully. And you then have a chance to practice all of that with your assistant stage managers. The tech crew is involved in those as well. And then you're hopefully ready, for performance week. And yeah, and then you open the theatre at the beginning, make sure everything's ready, cue the actors on stage, make sure they have all the things they need. You need to be a little bit bossy,
because not everybody will always do as they're told, just like everywhere in the world. You need to be not afraid of just putting your foot down and saying, no, this is what needs to get done now. I always find myself, I'm a little bit the mum of the show the way I'm running it. Some people get really like bossy, and some people get a lot less so. It's a personality thing, really. But nobody needs to be scared of it. You just need to be a bit organized, and then it works quite well, really. Yeah, that's it. That was quite interesting. Stage management was always one of those roles that I was really scared of, because it's like, oh my God, I've got to be in charge of the whole thing. I've got to be responsible for the whole thing. So I always sort of shirked it a little bit, never volunteered for it, until one day it was a one-act evening. So an evening of 3, also one acts. And they hadn't found a stage manager yet. And they still hadn't found a stage manager. So I can't remember who asked me, but somebody said, "You're really well organized, aren't you, Izzy? Do you want to be stage manager?" And I'm like, what, me? Okay. And did it, and just, yeah, ran with it, to be honest, and really enjoyed it. And I haven't looked back, because I've been stage manager quite a few times since. Lots of other one acts, other sort of regular 3 actors, 2 actors, however many acts plays have. And yeah, with very few exceptions, usually really enjoyed it. So that's how it happened. I'm assuming you're referring to what was my favorite play to manage. And I have to say, I can't really tell you which one it was, apart from, as I already said, I really enjoyed managing that very first evening of one acts. It's been all the one acts. I really enjoy doing those, because there's so much to do. You really kept on your toes. There's 3 different sets of actors. There's sometimes 3 different sets. So there's set changes in between each show. 3 different directors to work with. So 3 different personalities. It's, yeah, some of them can be interesting to deal with, shall we say that. Some are, most of them are lovely, most of them are really helpful, and I mean, everybody wants the show to succeed, but one act just makes it that little bit more interesting, because there's just so much going on. With a normal 3-act play, you can literally just be sitting backstage and waiting for the act to end, and then waiting for the play to begin again, for the next act to begin again, and there's not much going on. The actors are pretty much doing everything they need to do themselves. So one act is usually much more interesting to deal with, and I would say all of them have been, I couldn't pick one set of one acts that's my favorite, maybe apart from the very first one, because it was a new experience and it was fun for that reason. But yeah, one acts are awesome to stage manage. Real challenge, real fun.
Yeah, so set design is really fun because it's really varied. So I've worked on all sorts of things, from really minimalist sets where it's just like a black box with a projection maybe to set the scene, all the way up to like really realistic things. Like I did a representation of a hotel room in Azerbaijan, complete with details like the room service menu and stuff like that. So yeah, they can be really varied. They all have a similar process though. So you start by like working with the director to get their kind of vision for what the play should look like, and then produce some sort of design images. So you can do that in 2D or 3D. So some people just sketch it out. Some people make like actual little model boxes. And I like doing it digitally. So I'll do like, I've got a 3D sort of design tool that I use to make like a little model box, and then you can edit it all, which is really nice. You can make changes and things in there. And then once you've got a set designed, a group of willing volunteers will spend their Saturday mornings helping you to turn your ideas into real life, basically. So yeah, that's about the size of it. So I actually studied theatre design at university. I decided not to go down that route professionally, but I really love designing and making. So when one of my uni friends introduced me to WBDS, I was really keen to get involved because, yeah, it looked like a really great way of kind of using the skills I'd learned. So yeah, short answer for that one. Yeah, this is a really tough one because I've done lots of really different things and they've all been really fun. So I'm not sure I can like pick one, but I really enjoyed designing the projections. I did a play called Conversations After a Burial, which was one of these really minimalist ones where the set was basically sort of a black stage, and we just did projections of different scenes that I drew, sort of designed. And then we projected on, which was really fun. That was great. I really like scenic painting, completely different. So I've done a few quite fun sort of scenic backgrounds. I think I am most proud of that Middle Eastern hotel, the Azerbaijan hotel room, because it was for some one-act plays. And so that was the first play. And then after the interval, it was transformed into like a rundown London flat with a balcony where the headboard had been in the previous one. And I've always just been really pleased about being able to create that illusion. And I think we got a really good Nanda feedback from that as well, about how it's sort of gone from this this hotel to this flat, and it looks so different between the two. So that was really good fun.
Directing to me involves a great many facets. I suppose really the main thing is that you must explore in great depth the script. You need to understand what the playwright is wanting to convey. And then essentially, when you've got your cast, and you know your production team, working together as a team is very, very important. And also when you're directing, you need to explore greatly the functionality of the characters, the relationships between the various characters, and then you talk that over with your cast, so that you know the path that you are going to walk along, the direction you are taking, and essentially, of course, and most importantly, that we hope that we are attaining the interpretation that the playwright is looking for. But at the same time, we need to present to the public an evening's entertainment. How did I get involved in directing? Well, I joined the society in 1968, and I was very, very keen just to purely act, just simply act. And so I was in many productions, and during those productions that I took notice of what the directors were doing, what they had to do, and that's what really fired my interest. And I remember after a few years of just doing purely and simply acting, I would read other plays, and as I was reading them, in my mind, I was imagining moving the characters. I was imagining how they would speak their lines, and I thought, this is telling me something, and I would love to attempt to do it myself. So I put my name forward to the committees, and of course, in those days, we always started off our directing career by directing a one-act play. And I believe the year was 1972 that I was given this opportunity. And the play was called This Desirable Cottage. As I say, it's a one-act, and it was written by Anthony Booth. Fortunately, it was very well received. And I knew after that that directing was the path I wanted to tread. Oh, what has been my favourite play to direct? Oh, this is such a hard question. Hard because every play I've directed I have thoroughly enjoyed. But you've asked me the question, and so I'll try and give you an answer, but it has taken an awful lot of thought, because I've worked with so many wonderful people, and also worked on very many wonderful plays. And as I say, they've all given me great memories and enjoyment. But number one play that I'm going to say, really, I suppose, is my favourite, because of the diverseness of the characters, each brilliantly written, and each character was a larger than life cameo sort of character, and yet we can look around, walk down the street, meet people, and we meet these particular sort of people, and those characters were really in the play The Anniversary, written by Bill McArath, and which I did in 2017. But it's a very, very talented cast, and their interpretation was spot on, very enjoyable to watch, and I think therefore I will go for The Anniversary. Such a close thing though, because of all the as I mentioned earlier, I've enjoyed so much all the plays I've had the privilege to direct for the Society, and I hope that I get another opportunity. Thank you.
Come on, everybody. Let's get started. Oh, I'd forgotten you were watching. I hope you managed to grab a drink in the interval. I did. Cheers. Now, there's been a change of plan. We're going to watch our visitors watch something that they've performed, they've prepared for us. Callum, where are the actors?
Yeah, sorry, what can I do for you?
Go and get the actors from the virtual green room, will you? Before you do that, can you send them an image of an Edwardian interior, preferably a little parlour scene or something, and make sure they've got the green screens up.
Right, okay, let me just share something with you. I've got a Google search up. Right, so can you see that?
Yep.
Well, we've got a few options here. How about this one? It's got a nice brick fireplace.
No, not a brick one. It had a small and elegant cast iron fireplace.
Right, well, there's this one. It's a bit busy, really. It's a bit too much furniture. Doesn't really leave a sense of space for the actors.
Yeah, I agree.
There's this one with a cast iron fireplace, but it's more of a modern room with Edwardian features.
That's Farrow and Ball, but it doesn't matter.
What do you mean it doesn't matter? It was the parlour behind Madam Patch's ladies' outfitters shop, and it needs a little table, a little mahogany table for the blue envelope.
It's only a rehearsal. Please don't interfere. Oh, maybe that one. That one looks good. Or have you one with a shop window so we can establish it all takes place in a shop?
There's this one, which is an interior shot of a lady's hat shop. It does have a little table.
But it needs a screen. A screen, please, or I won't be able to manage, will I?
That'll do. The hats are authentic. Get them to download that as a virtual background.
There was her famous yellow divan.
And a mirror.
And a little table, a little mahogany table for the blue envelope.
Oh, for God's sake. Ah. Oh, yes. They look good, yeah. Really good. Well done. Yeah, going well. Oh, what on earth have you got as your background?
Well, I couldn't download the file he sent because it's not working on my iPad. So I can only use the jungle, or there is the Golden Gate Bridge.
Well, that's not appropriate, is it? Oh, it doesn't matter for now. Callum, can you sort that out later?
Oh, yeah, and I suppose the shirt's not helping.
Oh, it's
either.
disappearing because of the bits of green.
Yeah.
Right. Let's get started. I've sent you an outline of the play on chat. Callum, you'll need to be on your toes. How fast can you type?
What for? Blocking?
Get the lines down. You know, just follow the scenes one by one and get the gist of it down, you know, the most important bits. Now, we don't need to see you, so you can go off video.
But, excuse me, we won't have to...
No, you won't have to improvise, no, don't worry.
Then what are we expected to do?
Nothing, just listen and watch, you know, you'll get your scripts later when the stage manager has written them down. For now, we'll just rehearse as best we can under the current circumstances, and our visitors will be doing the rehearsal.
We are? Excuse me, what do you mean, the rehearsal?
I mean a rehearsal. A rehearsal for the benefit of the actors.
But if we are the characters...
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're the characters, but characters don't act here, my dear chap. It's the actors who act here, or they will do when there's a script written.
Well, that's just the point. Since there isn't one, and you have the luck to have the characters here alive in front of you, it isn't a rehearsal.
Great. So now you want to do everything yourselves, do you? You want to act in your own play, produce your own play?
Well, yes, just as we are.
Well, what about us? What are we supposed to do then?
Don't tell me. You don't think you can know how to act. It takes years of training. So now we need to cast the play. Well, that's easy enough. That sulky boy over there said and done nothing, complete waste of space. So we needn't bother with him. You shall be Mother. What name shall we give Mother?
Oh, what about Rachel?
That's not her name.
Well, we can't give her real name.
Why not? Oh, but perhaps if this lady is to play the part, we can use her name. I don't know, but I just think we should use the real name, but do as you like. I don't know what to say anymore. I'm already starting to sound, how can I explain it? Sound false. My own words sound like somebody else's.
Oh, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that at all. We shall sort the right tone of voice out. Now then, if you don't like the name Rachel, we can find another one. For now, we'll refer to the characters like this. You shall be Mother, and of course, you shall be stepdaughter.
What did you say? That woman is me.
What are you laughing at?
Nobody's ever dared laugh at me before. Either you show me some respect or I'm leaving.
I'm sorry, I wasn't really laughing at you.
You should feel proud to be played by that
That woman.
But I wasn't thinking about her, honestly. I was thinking about me. I can't see myself in you at all. You're not a bit like me.
That's quite right. You see, our meaning is very
What are
much...
you talking about? Our meaning? Do you think your meaning only exists inside you? Do you think meaning can only be inside you, not a bit of it?
What? Don't we even have our own meaning?
No, whatever you mean is material only for the actors to give voice, body, gesture, who with their art have given expression to much, much better material than you have to offer. Yours is quite a trivial tale. And if it stands up on stage at all, the credit, believe you me, will be down to my actors.
Well, I don't dare contradict you, but you, for your part, must believe me, it does not seem trivial to us. We are suffering terribly now with these different bodies, these strangers' voices.
Yes, well, the makeup will take care of all of that, you know. And as for the actor playing you, well, he can wear a wig.
But what about the gestures, the voices?
That's enough. You can't come on here as yourselves. It is the actor's job to represent you on the stage. Now let that be an end to it.
I understand.
Yes.
But I think I see now why our author, who saw us alive as we are here and now, did not want to put us on stage. I don't want to offend your actors. God forbid that I should. But I think if I saw myself represented by, I don't know who.
By me, if you don't object.
I should be honoured, sir. But I think no matter how hard this gentleman works with all his will and art to identify himself with me, it'll, well...
Yes?
Well, it will be difficult to be a performance of me as I really am. I mean, even allowing for the difference of our appearance with the makeup. You know, it will be difficult to be a performance of me as I really am. It'll be more like, not just because of his figure, more like an interpretation of what I am, of what he believes me to be, and not what I know myself to be. And it seems to me that this should be taken into account by those who are going to comment on us.
Oh, so now you're worried about what the critics will say, while I'm trying to get this thing started. The critics can say what they like. We're just worried about putting on the play, if we can, under the current circumstances. Now then, let's not waste any more time. This background looks all right, doesn't it?
What? That? No, I don't recognise it at all.
Oh, did you expect Google to come up with a replica of Mrs. Madam or Madam Patchet's back room? Goodness sake. Right, have you got an envelope? Preferably a pale blue one?
Well, I've got a brown one with my tax return reminder in it.
Oh, damn, that reminds me, I haven't finished mine yet.
Won't I need one too?
Yes, a brown one if you can.
I've only got this pizza menu thing.
Yes, that'll do. It's only a sub rehearsal. Now keep it at hand for the. Actually, practice. Put it forward into the screen. Remember, and collect it under the camera. Do you want to practice? Yeah. Hand it back. Yep, that's good. Excellent. Now then, the first scene is the young ladies. No, not you. The young ladies, you just watch.
How I bring it to life.
I shall know how to bring it to life.
Ladies,
when I'm allowed to.
Please, no more arguments. In fact, Cass, just go off screen. Right. The first scene is between the young lady and Madam Patchet. Where is Madam Patchet?
She isn't here with us.
Well, I can see that.
But she is real.
So where is she then?
Do you want me to read in?
There's nothing to read. We need Madam Patchet here to write down the lines.
May I deal with this? If I can just get an impression of her, always in that red vulgar dress that was too tight, her face caked in garish makeup, her ludicrous orange wig, and with a rose stuck in at one side.
Do you mind telling me what you're doing?
Yes, of course. Perhaps if I draw in an ostrich feather fan in one hand and a cigarette between the fingers in the other. There. Perhaps she'll be drawn by the articles of her trade. And who knows, she may even come and join us.
There she is. There she is.
It's her. What did I tell you? It's Madame Pache.
What sort of trick is this? Callum, did you do this?
Say,
Nothing.
what's going on?
I've got the hosting rights for this meeting. This can't happen. I don't understand how.
What? So how has she appeared here in this Zoom meeting? And is
This
she
is just too weird. I mean, I thought all the privacy settings for Zoom had been tightened up.
Well, the actual... It's
Why
beyond
are
me.
you trying to spoil a miracle by being factual? Can't you see this is a miracle of reality, born, brought to life, lured here just for the sake of this scene? We've more right to be alive here than you have, and perhaps more truth than you have yourselves. Which actress could improve on Madame Pache here? Well, this is the real Madame Pache. You must admit that any actress who plays her will be less true than she is herself. And there she is. My stepdaughter recognized her immediately and went to meet her. Now watch. Just watch this scene.
You're on mute.
Can't hear a thing.
Press the microphone icon.
We can't hear you.
We don't want you to hear us. What we're talking about, you can't say in front of people. I could have shouted about it a moment ago, to embarrass him, to shame him and to get my own back on him, but it's a different matter for Madame Pache. It would mean prison for her.
Oh, let me explain, dear. In a theatrical performance, you have to be heard. The audience needs to hear you, and Callum needs to hear you to get down the lines. And after all, you know, you would speak normally to one another if you were alone, and you will be alone because we shan't be here. We're only here now because it's a rehearsal. So just imagine that you're at the back of Madame Pache's shop and there's no one to hear you. Why not?
Because there is someone here who will hear if Madame Pache speaks normally.
You're not going to make someone else appear, are you?
No, she means me. I ought to be waiting behind the door, and Madame Pache knows I'm there.
If he wants to go through it now, I'm ready. Oh yes, I'm dying to do that scene.
But before that, we must do the scene between you and Madame Pache again so that we can get down the words correctly.
For God's sake, she's only told me what you already know. That my mother's needlework is badly done again, the dress is spoiled, and that I shall have to be patient if I want her to go on helping us out of our mess.
Yes, Signora, for I do not wish to make the profit, no, to make the advantage, no.
Does she really speak like that?
Yes, she does speak like that, half in Spanish in the silliest way imaginable.
Ah, but it is not good manners, no, that you laugh at me when I make myself to speak as good as I can the English, Signora.
No, you're right. Carry on speaking just like that, Madame Pache. It'll bring a touch of comedy to a rather dour situation. It'll be great, in fact.
Great. Why not? When you hear a proposition made in that sort of accent, it will almost seem like a joke, won't it? Perhaps you'll want to laugh even louder when you hear that there's an old senor who wants to amuse himself with me. Isn't that right, Madame Pache?
No, how you say, no so old, but not quite so young, no. But if he's not your taste, is, how you say, discreet.
You disgusting old whore! You witch! Murderess! Oh, my beautiful daughter!
No, Mamma, please.
Calm yourself, take a deep breath.
Get out, Whoremonger, away from here!
My mother can't bear to be in the same place with her.
They can't possibly be in the same place together.
We're all socially distanced.
That's why she wasn't here when we first arrived, you see. When these two women meet, the whole thing is given away from the start.
That's not important right now. This is only a first run through. Callum just needs to get a gist of what was said. I mean, you know, it's all important stuff, even if it's a little bit confused. We could just finesse it later.
Do continue, Madame Pache.
Oh, no, no, no. I now do nothing with the murder here.
We'll carry on. Bring in this old signor who wants to amuse himself with me. You see, this next scene has got to be played out. We must do it now. Madame Pache, you can go. You're not needed and not wanted.
Ah, well, I go. I am not really sure how, but I go. Any moment now.
Now it's your turn, Father. Pretend you've just come into the parlour. Look, I'm sitting here with my eyes down to the ground, very modestly. Oh, come on, speak up. Use that special sort of voice like somebody who's just come in. Good afternoon, my dear.
Look here. Who's the director here, you or me? Stand by. Everybody, ready?
Good afternoon, my dear.
Good afternoon.
Ah, but tell me, this won't be the first time, will it? The first time you've been here?
No, sir.
You've been here before? More than once? Well, then it shouldn't be two. May I take off your hat?
No, don't. I'll do it.
Here, give your hat to me. I'll hang it up for you. Oh, but such a pretty, dear little head like yours should have such a much smarter hat than that. Would you like to choose one from the hats of Madame Pache's hanging up here? Would you?
Well, I'd like to see how they manage that.
For God's sake, shut up. Don't try to be funny. We're rehearsing. Please go on, will you, from where you were so rudely interrupted.
No, thank you, sir.
Oh, please, don't say no to me. Say you'll have one to please me. Here, isn't this a pretty one? And it would please Madame too, you know. She put them out on here on purpose, of course.
No, I could never wear it.
Are you thinking of what they would say when you went home wearing a new hat? Goodness me, don't you know what to do? Shall I tell you what to say at home?
That's not why. I couldn't wear it because, as you can see, well, you should have noticed before.
Oh, you're in mourning. Oh, forgive me. Yes, you're right, of course. Forgive me. I really am very sorry.
Don't go on, please. I ought to be thanking you and not letting you blame yourself and get upset. I'm sorry. Don't think any more about what I've just said, please, and I should do the same. I should try to forget I'm dressed like this.
Hold it, Callum. Don't write that line down, just leave it out. It's all going very well, very well. And then we'll put in the bit that we talked about in the interval. Cast, that scene with the hat was good, wasn't it?
But the best bit's coming now. Let's get on with it.
Yes, just be patient. Wait a minute. Of course, it'll have to be a lot more light-hearted.
And we shall have to be a lot quicker too.
Oh, yes, and there's nothing particularly difficult about it. So, should we just run through it now?
Yeah. Shall we take it from my entrance, shall we?
Now then, listen, imagine that the scene between you and Madame Pache is finished, okay? I'll write it up myself properly later on. Where are you going now?
Well, I'm going to need a hat. This isn't really right, but it's the only one I've got handy.
Yeah, good. Ready now, it'll do. Heads down.
But she's not dressed in black.
Well, I shall be, darling, and I'll look a lot better than you do.
Just watch and listen. You might learn something. Right, come on, quiet, please. From his entrance. Callum, please feed the lines.
Father, good afternoon, my dear.
Good afternoon, my dear.
Oh.
Don't you dare laugh like that, young lady. The rehearsal room is a safe space for actors to play and explore. A sacred place of creativity where nobody mocks. We're never going to get anywhere at this rate.
I'm sorry, I can't help it. The lady never moved when he spoke. But if it had been me, and I heard someone say good afternoon to me in that way and with a voice like that, I should burst out laughing. So I did.
She's right. His whole manner, his voice.
To hell with the manner and the voice. Just sit there and listen, will you, and let me watch the rehearsal.
Look, if I have to play a dirty old man who goes into a knocking shop...
Take no notice. Ignore them. You were marvellous, darling. Go on, please. It's going well. Right. Again, from the top.
Father, good afternoon, my dear.
Good afternoon, my dear.
Stepdaughter, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Father, but tell me this won't be the first time, I hope.
But tell me this won't be the first time, I hope.
Not I hope. Will it? Will it?
Say, will it? And it's a question.
Look, I distinctly heard Callum say I hope.
So what? It's all the same, hope or will it. It doesn't make any difference. Carry on. Police, it could be perhaps a little bit lighter. I'll show you. Listen to me. Good afternoon, my dear.
Stepdaughter, good afternoon.
I know. Good afternoon.
But tell me, this won't be the first time, I hope.
Will it?
You see, surprise, anxiety, self-satisfaction. But tell me this won't be the first time, will it? The first time you've been here. Right, understand? And then she says, no, sir. See what I mean? More subtlety. Carry on from her reply.
Stepdaughter, no, sir.
I know. No, sir.
Father, you've been here before, more than once.
You've been here before? More than once?
No, wait for it. Wait for it. Let her answer first. Do you say, you've been here before, and she... Now.
Oh my God.
What now?
Nothing.
Come on then. Now it's you.
Father, more than once.
Yes, I know. Yes, more than once. It shouldn't be too... Line.
May I take off your hat?
May I take off your hat? Right, that's it. I'm not going to stay any longer to be laughed at by that woman.
Nor am I. I've had enough. It's the end. It's insufferable.
Why don't you come and join me in the green room? I'm teaching Pam a new trick.
Once and for all, young lady, will you please shut up?
Yes, I'm sorry.
You're an ill-mannered little tyke. That's what you are, and you've gone too far this time.
Yes, you're right. She went too far, but please forgive her.
Why should I forgive her? Her behaviour is intolerable.
Yes, it is. But you see, that scene made such a peculiar impact on us.
Peculiar? What do you mean peculiar? Why peculiar?
Well, I'm full of admiration for your actors, for the gentleman and the lady, but you see, well, they're not us.
Well, of course not. They're actors.
Well, that's just the point, you see. That's what's different. They're playing our parts very well, both of them. But however much they want to be the same as us, they're not us.
But why aren't they?
Well, I think it's something to do with them being themselves, not being us.
Well, we can't do anything about that. I've told you already, you can't play the parts yourselves.
I know.
Right then, that's enough of that. Callum, tell the cast that we'll rehearse this later on our own, as we usually do. It's always a bad idea to have rehearsals with the author present. They're never satisfied. Come on, let's get on with it and see if it's possible to do it without rudely laughing or interrupting.
I won't laugh anymore. I won't, really. My best bit's coming up now. You just wait and see.
Right, from when you say, don't think any more about what I told you, please, and I should do the same, then you come in immediately with the line, I understand. Oh, yes, I understand. And then you ask.
Ask what? What does he ask?
Are you in mourning?
No, that's not right. Because when I said that I should try not to think about the way I was dressed, do you know what he said? Well then, my dear, let's take it off. We'll take it off at once, shall we, your little black dress?
Oh, that's great. That'll bring the house down.
But it's the truth.
Do me a favour. I mean, this is a theatre, you know. Never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Shakespeare didn't.
What do you want to do then?
You'll see. Leave it all to me.
No, I won't. I know what you want to do. Out of all of my feelings of revulsion, out of all of the vile and sordid reasons why I am what I am, you want to make a sugary little sentimental romance. You want him to ask me why I'm in mourning, and you want me to reply with the tears running down my face, it's only 2 months since my father died. No, I won't have it. He must say to me what he really did say. Well then, my dear, let's take it off. We'll take it off at once, shall we, your little black dress? And I, with my heart still grieving for my father's death only 2 months before, I went behind the screen and, my fingers trembling with shame and loathing, I took off the dress, unfastened my undergarments, and
For God's sake, what are you saying?
the truth. I'm telling you the truth.
All right then. Now, you listen to me. I'm not denying it's the truth, okay? I'm not denying it's the truth. But believe me, I understand your horror. But you can't really put a scene like that on here.
You can't. Then thanks very much. I'm not staying here.
No, listen.
No, I'm going. I'm not stopping. The pair of you have worked it out together, haven't you? What to put in this scene? Well, thank you very much. I understand everything now. He just wants to get to the bit where he can talk about his spiritual torments. But I want to show you my drama. Mine.
Ah, now we're getting to the truth of it, aren't we? Your drama. Yours. But it's not all about you, you know. It's about other people's drama too, about him and your mother. I mean, you can't have one character coming on like you're doing and trampling all over the others and taking over the play. I mean, everything has to be balanced and edited so that we show only what needs to be shown. I mean, I know perfectly well that we all have a drama playing continuously inside us and that it all seems important, but that's the difficulty, to show only what's necessary to the other characters, and in the small bits that we do show, to show the inner life, to hint at the inner life of the character. I agree, it would be so much easier if the characters could just pour out what's bubbling away inside them in a soliloquy, for example, but that's not how we work here, and we haven't got the time. You must restrain yourself, you see, because it would be so easy for you to give a bad impression, you know, since you said already that you have been with other men at Madame Patché's, and on more than one occasion.
I suppose that's true. You know, all the other men were all him as far as I was concerned.
I don't understand anymore.
If someone falls into evil ways, isn't the responsibility for all the evil which follows to be laid at the door of the person who caused the first mistake? And in my case, it all flows from him, from before I was even born. Look at him, see if it isn't true.
Okay, But what about the weight of remorse he's carrying? Isn't that important? So we need to give him the chance to show that to us, to see his journey. It gives great dramatic tension.
How on earth can he show all his long-suffering remorse, all his moral torments, as he calls them, if you don't let him show his horror when he finds me in his arms one fine day, after he'd asked me to take my dress off, a black dress for my father who'd just died 2 months earlier, and he finds that I'm the child he used to go and watch as she came out of school. Me, a woman now, and a woman he could buy. And right now, we're here on our own, and the public doesn't know about us, but people will get tickets and come and watch us, and you will present us in our story in whatever way you choose, I suppose. But wouldn't you like to see the real drama? Wouldn't you like to see it explode into life as it really did?
Oh, of course, nothing I'd like better than I can use as much of it as possible.
Then persuade my poor mother to leave.
No, don't let her. Don't let her do it.
But they're only doing it for me to watch. Only for me, do you see? It's just pretend.
I can't bear it. I can't bear it.
But it's already happened. I can't see what the problem is.
No. It's happening now as well. It's happening all the time. I'm not acting my suffering. Can't you understand that? I'm alive and here now, but I can never forget that terrible moment of agony that repeats itself endlessly and vividly in my mind. And these two little children, you've never heard them speak, have you? That's because they don't speak anymore, not now. They just cling to me all the time. They help to keep my grief alive, but they don't really exist for themselves anymore. And she, my elder daughter, she's gone away. She's lost me, lost. You see her here for one reason only, to keep perpetually before me, always real, the anguish and the torment that I've suffered on her account.
The eternal moment, as I told you. This young woman is here to keep me too in that moment, trapped for all eternity. Suspended and chained in that one single shameful moment of my life. She cannot escape her role, and you cannot rescue me from it.
But I'm not saying that we won't present that bit, not at all. It'll be the climax of the first act when she, mother, she'll surprise you.
Yes, because that's the moment I'm sentenced. All our suffering should reach a climax in her cry.
I can still hear it ringing in my ears. It was that cry that sent me mad. You can have me play just as you like, it doesn't matter. Because you see, as I was standing there, prepared for him, I saw a vein here, in my naked arm, throbbing. And then it was almost as if that throbbing vein filled me with a shivering fear. I shut my eyes tightly to block out the disgust and loathing. Make him stop, Mama, make him stop. Scream as you screamed then.
Stop! She's my daughter! No! She's my daughter, you brute! You animal! She's my daughter, can't you see? She's my daughter!
And curtain. Oh, absolutely marvellous, absolutely marvellous.
That's right, because it really was like that.
That's got to be the curtain line. She's my daughter. Curtain. And then we can all go home. Where have they all gone? I didn't mean now, Callum. Did he get it all down?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, that's marvellous. I mean, absolutely marvellous. What a cliffhanger. I mean, we'll end the first act just like that, word for word. Oh, do you know, I couldn't have done better if I'd written it down myself.
I think we'd probably take another short break there. Let me just pop on some pictures while I sort some things out. These will be from previous productions. Maybe you'll have seen some of them. I'll see you in 5 minutes.
Well then, let's get on to the second act. I've got it all sorted. It's going to be great. Actors, are you back from the breakout room?
Yep.
Yeah, ready.
Yeah.
Good. Stay off video. I only want to see the family on screen. You might want to take your own notes for this scene.
This is where we go to live at his house, in spite of the protestations of Moody over there. We must make it clear that he strongly objected to his mother living with that man.
That doesn't matter. The worse it was for us, the more his father suffered from remorse.
Yes, I know. I'll take it all into account, don't worry.
Oh, to set my mind at rest, madam, please do make sure it's clear that I tried all I could to reconnect with...
No, to pacify me, to persuade me that this despicable creature wasn't worth making trouble about. Go on, set her mind at rest, because it's true, she tried very hard. I'm enjoying this. You can see, can't you, that the meeker she was, and the more she tried to worm her way into her son's heart, the more distant and cold he became. How's that for a dramatic situation?
Do you think we could actually get on with the second act?
I won't say another word, but you'll see that it won't be possible to play everything in the garden scene like you want to do.
Why not?
Because, to start with, this typical young man stays shut up in his room in the house all the time. And then all the scenes for this poor little devil of a boy happen in the house, not the garden. I've told you this before.
Well, that's the beauty of Zoom. We can just create images to use as virtual backgrounds and just, use them scene by scene.
Yeah, much easier than having the ASMs do a full set change while the audience have a cup of tea.
Yes, it helps us maintain the illusion.
Illusion? For pity's sake, don't talk about illusions. Don't use that word. It's so hurtful to us.
But why, for God's sake?
Well, it's so hurtful, so cruel. You ought to have realised that.
Well, what else should we call it? That's what we do here in theatre, create an illusion for the audience.
With our performances.
Art, imitating life.
Perfect illusion of reality.
Yes, I know that. I understand. But perhaps you, for your part, don't understand as yet. You see, for you and your actors, what goes on here on stage, well, it's quite rightly only a game.
A game? How dare you? We're not children. What happens here is serious.
I'm not saying it isn't serious, and, well, really not a game, but an art that tries, as you said, to create the perfect illusion of reality.
That's right.
Well, then, just imagine that we, as you see us now, that we have no other reality outside this illusion.
What the hell are you talking about now?
Isn't it obvious? What other reality is there for us? What for you is an illusion you create, for us is our only reality. And it's not only true for us, it's true for others, you know. Just think about it. Do you really know who you are?
What? Who I am? I'm me.
What if I told you that was not true? What if I told you you were me?
I'd tell you were mad.
Yes, because everything that goes on here is just a game, isn't it? And yet, you object when I say that this gentleman here, who is himself, has to be me, who, on the contrary, am myself. There, you see, I've caught you in a trap.
Not again. Haven't we heard all this some time ago?
Well, I didn't want to talk about it, but I want you to forget about your game, your art, your artistry that you pursue here with your actors. And I'm going to ask you once again, in all seriousness, who are you?
Bloody nerve! Don't you know who I am?
Oh, so now she's forgotten who she is.
A character, my dear madam, can always ask someone who they are, because a character really has a life of their own, a life full of their own specific qualities, which means they are always somebody. Whereas a person, I'm not speaking about you individually, of course, but people in general, well, they can be an absolute nobody.
All right. All right. Since you ask, I'll tell you who I am. I'm the director. The director. I'm in charge. Do you understand? She who must be obeyed.
I'm only asking to try and find out if you really see yourself now as you saw yourself, for instance, once upon a time ago in the past, with all the illusions you had then, with everything inside and outside yourself as it seemed then. Not only seemed, really was. Well then, look back on those illusions, on all those ideas you no longer have, on all the things that no longer seem real to you. Even your physicality has changed. This frame forms only a tiny part of our reality for a tiny amount of time. Tomorrow, all the realities of today will just seem as if they've been an illusion, something you saw on a moving picture.
So what does that prove?
Nothing much. I'm just trying to make you see if we have no other reality outside our own illusion, then perhaps you ought to distrust your own sense of reality. Because whatever seems like reality today, whatever you touch, whatever you believe in, whatever seems real for you today is going to seem like the reality of yesterday, just an illusion tomorrow.
So now you're saying to me that you and this play that you're going to show me are more real than I am.
There's no doubt about that at all.
Is that so?
I thought you realized that from the beginning.
More real than I am?
Well, if your reality can change between today and tomorrow.
Yeah, well, everybody knows things change. This too shall pass. Everything's always changing.
But ours doesn't change. Do you see? That's what's different. Our reality doesn't change. It can't change. It can never be different. Never. Because it's already determined. Like this. Forever. And that's what's so terrible about it. Ours is an eternal reality. And that should make you shudder to come near us.
Then I should like to know, when has anybody seen a character step out of a part like you've just done now and make a speech, proposing things and explaining things? I'd like to see that. Nobody's ever shown that to me.
You've never seen it before because an author likes to hide the difficulties of creating. But when characters are alive, really alive, and standing there in front of their author, all he has to do is follow their words, the actions that they suggest to him, and he has to really want them to be what they want to be. And it's his bad luck if he doesn't do what they want. When a character is born, they immediately assume such an independence, even of their own author, that everyone can see them in scores of situations that their author never even thought of putting them in.
Yes, well,
they can sometimes acquire a meaning that their author never dreamed of giving them.
I know all that.
Well then, why are you surprised by us? Imagine what a disaster it is for a character to be created in the imagination of an author who refuses to give them life in a written play. Tell me if a character isn't right. Left like this, suspended, created but without a final life to do what we're doing now, here in front of you. We spent such a long time urging our author, persuading him, first me, then her, then your poor mother.
True. I would go into his gloomy study and tempt him time after time, just as it was growing dark, when he was sitting quietly in an armchair, not even bothering to switch a light on, but leaving the shadows to fill the room. Shadows were swarming with us. I'd come to tempt him. I've got a little cat, and I'm very fond of that, but I'd rather have a bow wow wow. Mother, there with that son of hers in me, with the little girl, that poor boy always on his own, and then me with him, and then at last just me on my own, all on my own in the shadows. What scenes were suggested to him, what a life I could have had. I tempted him more than the others.
Oh, yes, you did. And it's probably your fault he did nothing about it. You were so insistent. You made too many demands.
But he wanted me to be like that. I think it's more likely that he felt discouraged about the theatre and even despised it because the public only wants to see a nice little farce or classical thrillers or period dramas or...
A nice little farce. Yes, let's get on then, for God's sake. Come to the point, will you?
I'm sorry, but if you ask me, we've got too much happening already. Just with our entry into his house. You said that we couldn't have too many scenes.
Oh, and of course we can't. We must group things together, combine them in one easy sequence for the audience to follow, not the way that you want to do it, with the little boy coming home from school and wandering around the house like a lost soul and hiding behind doors and brooding on some plan or other. What did you say he would do?
Wither him, shrivel him completely.
Oh, yes, that's it. That's a great expression. Callum, did you get that down? And then, what did you say? You could see it in his eyes, getting stronger all the time. Isn't that what you said?
Yes, that's right. Look at him.
Yeah. And at the same time, the little girl playing in the garden, all innocence. One in the house and one in the garden.
Yes, playing in the sun, so happy. The only pleasure I have left her happiness. I delight in playing in the garden, away from the misery and squalor of that sordid flat where all four of us slept. She slept with me. With me, just think of it. My vile, contaminated body close to hers with her little arms wrapped tightly around my neck, so lovingly, so innocently. In the garden, whenever she saw me, she would run and take my hand. She never wanted to show me the big flowers. She would run about, looking for the little weeny ones so that she could show them to me. She was so happy, so thrilled.
We'll have the scene in the garden, we'll have it. And you'll be pleased with what we do with it, I promise. We'll have all the scenes in the garden. Callum, can you find a garden image? Large, foreboding suppressors sort of thing. A sky like Monk would paint. It's got to be evening, moonlit.
Will do.
Hang on, where have they all gone? Now what? Where have you all gone? Oh, yes. Yes. Now, come on. So the little boy can come out into the garden and hide behind the trees instead of the doors in the house. And you can play the scene with the little girl when she shows you the flowers. Let's see what it'll look like. Come on. Come on, will you? Come on. Let's have a look. Can you hide a bit more? That's it. Now just pop your head out and look round. Oh, that's good. That's really good.
It's no use hoping the boy will speak, not as long as that moody creature's there. They'll have to get him out of the way first.
With pleasure. I'll go now. Nothing will please me better.
Oh, no. You wait there.
What? There's no reason why I should be here.
What do you mean?
Let me go, will you? Let me go.
There has to be a reason for you to be here.
Don't bother trying to stop him. He won't go. He can't go.
You have to play this terrible scene in the garden with your mother.
I'm not going to play anything. I've said that all along. Let me go, will you?
All right, let him go. Well, go on then. Off you go. He can't, you see. He can't. He's got to stay here. He must. He's chained to us forever. No, I'm the one who goes. When what must happen does happen. And I run away because I hate him. Because I can't bear the sight of him any longer. Do you think it's possible for him to run away? No, he has to stay here with that man and his mother there. Come on, Mamma, come on. Look, she's going to try to stop him. Imagine how she must feel at showing her affection for him in front of your actors. Her longing to be near him is so strong that, look, she's going to go through that scene with him again.
But I'm not. I'm not. I've said that all along. If I can't get away, then I suppose I shall have to stay here. But I repeat, I will not have any active part in this.
You must make him.
Nobody's going to make me do anything.
I'll make you.
Wait, just a minute. Before that, the little girl has to go to the fountain. Poor little darling, those beautiful eyes. They look so bewildered. You're wondering where you are, aren't you? Well, we're on a stage, my darling. It's a stage? Well, it's a place where you pretend to be serious. They put on plays here. Now we're going to put on a play. Oh, yes? Seriously, even you? Oh, my little one, my little darling. Terrible play it is for you. Terrible things have been planned for you. The garden, the fountain. Oh, yes, it's only a pretend fountain. That's right. That's part of the game. My pretty darling, everything is pretend here. Perhaps you'll like a pretend fountain better than a real one. You can play here then. But it's only a game for the others, I'm afraid, not for you. Your game is in a real fountain, with real water, and lots of baby ducks paddling about, shattering their reflections. You want to stroke one? No, no. Your mama isn't watching you. She's over there with that selfish bastard. I feel as if all the devils in hell were tearing me apart inside. And you, little boy, what are you doing over there, hanging about like a beggar? It'll be your fault too if that little girl drowns. Always like this, as if I wasn't paying the price for getting all of you into this house. What have you got there? What are you hiding? Take your hand out. Where on earth did you get that gun? You idiot. If I'd been you, instead of shooting myself, I'd have shot one of those two. Either or both. The father and the son.
Look, that's good. It's good. And at the same time, mother and son were...
What do you mean at the same time? There wasn't any scene at the same time. There. Mother will tell you the same thing herself. She'll tell you what happened.
Yes, it's true. I'd gone to his room.
Room, do you hear? Not the garden.
Can I just check? Are we going to be using real water?
Are you still watching Unseen Voices?
Yes, yes, making notes.
Seems to be quite a complex role.
Haven't you realised yet that you won't be able to do this play? There's nothing of us inside you. You actors are only looking at us from the outside. Do you think we can go on living with a mirror held up in front of us that doesn't only show our reflection forever, but freezes us in its reflection forever? That a reflection that laughs back at us with an expression we don't recognize as our own.
That's right. That's right.
It's quite useless. I'm not prepared.
Be quiet, will you, and let me listen to your mother. Well, you'd gone to his room, you said.
Yes, to his room. I couldn't bear it any longer. I wanted to empty my heart to him, pour out all my troubles too, all the agony that was crushing me. But as soon as he saw me come in...
Nothing happened. I walked away. I wasn't going to get involved. I never have been involved. Do you understand? That's true, Mother, isn't it?
But we must make up the scene between you. It's vital.
I'm ready to do it. If only I had the chance to talk to him for a while, to pour out all my troubles too.
For pity's sake, do as I tell you. Do as I tell you. Do you not hear what she's saying? Have you no feelings for your mother?
No, I haven't. I haven't, and let that be the end of it.
Please stop it. Please.
Do as I tell you. Do as I tell you.
What's come over you? Why are you so frantic? Do you want to parade our disgrace in front of everyone. I'm having nothing to do with it. Nothing. I'm simply doing what our author wanted to as well. He never wanted to put us on the stage.
Then why on earth did you come here?
He wanted to. Father, I didn't.
But you're here now, aren't you?
Father was the one who wanted to come, dragged all of us here with him and agreed with you in there about what to put in the play. And that meant not only what had happened, as if that wasn't bad enough, but what hadn't happened as well.
All right then, you tell me what happened. Did you rush out of the room without saying anything?
Yes, without saying anything. I
What
didn't
did
want
you
to make
do?
a scene.
What did you do then?
Nothing. I went across the garden.
Well, you crossed the garden.
Why do you want me to talk about it? It's horrible.
And the little girl?
There, in the fountain.
With the mother trailing after him.
I dashed across. I was going to jump in and pull her out, but something else caught my eye. I saw something behind the tree that made my blood run cold. The little boy, he was standing there with a mad look in his eyes, looking into the fountain, looking at his sister, floating there, drowned. I made a move towards him, but then
My boy, my boy, help me.
Was he hurt?
Oh, he's dead. Oh, the poor little boy. He's dead. Oh, what a terrible thing.
So sad and so young.
Do you mean dead? It's all make-believe. It's only a puppet.
This is real. This is real, ladies and gentlemen. This is reality.
this
This
is
is reality.
Reality.
And that's all, folks. So at this stage in the original play, everyone would be running about, all of the actors and the characters, but we can't really do that. And anyway, they're all waiting to come back on and take a bow. So so thanks for watching 6 Characters in Search of an Author. In the programme that you received with the Zoom link, with the YouTube links rather, you'll see all of the unseen people who contributed to this. In the meantime, all of the real people that you've seen are waiting to come back out, and I shall bring them out in order of appearance. So we shall start with Rachel Ross, who is actor number 3.
Ooh. Come on, Pep. Come on. Are you not going to do it today? No, there you go. Come on, my love.
And here we have Pam the Wonder Dog.
Yeah.
Next we have Tim Farrow, who is actor number 2.
Evening all. Anyone fancy a cycle?
We have Barbara Seymour, who was the director.
Sleep well.
Leslie Flounders, who is actor number 1.
Thanks for watching.
Richard Young was the father.
Like the hat.
Savannah Dixon was the stepdaughter.
No hatpins were harmed in the making of this production.
Jackie Tivers was the mother.
With my 2 little children.
And Dom Gaskell was the son.
I'm not grumpy, honest.
Finally, there was me, Callum Sharp. I was the stage manager and a Madame Pache. So, if you've enjoyed watching 6 Characters in Search of an Author, then please comment on our Facebook, follow us on Twitter or Instagram, generally tell the wider world about the West Bridgeford Dramatic Society. There were links in the e-programme that was sent with the YouTube links. For the website, we are always looking for new members. We've got a full programme of activities on our Tuesday evening club nights. We are just working on what our next production will be as we move into the new year. So thanks very much. Good night.